Well, senior Hamas representative Osama Hamdan is joining us on the phone from Beirut. Thank you for your time, Mr. Hamdan. What's your reaction to Egypt's proposal?
Well, I have to say that what you have said came from media resources. We are not talking about solid ideas introduced yet. And that doesn't mean some of those ideas were dealt during the negotiations or the talks between Hamas and the Egyptians and maybe other mediators, but it is still ideas talked about, and our clear position was no talks about any kind of prisoners exchange without a complete ceasefire with the Israeli withdrawal from Gaza.
Well, the Egyptian proposal does call for a complete ceasefire, be it in stages, while Israeli captives are released in exchange for Palestinians in Israeli jails. Are you open to that if there is a complete stop in the fighting?
Well, as I've said, we can't talk about any kind of arrangements in the issue without a complete Israeli ceasefire and withdrawal from Gaza. No one will accept to negotiate under the fire, not Hamas, nor anyone else. And if anyone seeks to help the Palestinians, if anyone seeks to find a solution which can prevent the Palestinians from being killed daily or committed the massacres against them, he has to start from this point, from stopping the massacre being committed against the Palestinians. This is the first step to solve any kind of arrangements or to talk about any kind of arrangements on the basis of the prisoners exchange.
Okay. The proposal also calls for the establishment, this is later on, this is after a ceasefire is implemented. It also calls for the establishment of a government of experts to rule Gaza and the West Bank for a transitional period before presidential and parliamentary elections. If there is a ceasefire, would Hamas allow that further down the line? Well,
let's say that the idea of who will be the ruler of the Palestinians and the leadership of the Palestinians is an internal Palestinian issue. And our clear position all the time was the Palestinian people must elect their own leadership. No one has the right to dictate a leadership for the Palestinians. The Americans, the Israelis, neither anyone else. So simply...
But that is exactly what the proposal is saying. The proposal is saying that it will be a group of Palestinian experts for a temporary period before presidential and parliamentary elections are held. They're not saying that the US or Israel will decide on what happens.
Who will decide this temporary leadership? Who will decide to select those people or who is in charge to nominate those people? If it was a Palestinian decision, well, we don't mind to discuss that among our Palestinian fellows. But if it was dictated by anyone else, it will be rejected directly.
Okay. What about if both sides can agree again on a ceasefire? Would Hamas require a third party to oversee Israel's withdrawal from Gaza?
Well, it's clear that we need someone to guarantee any kind of arrangement with the Israelis. When we have talked about the temporary ceasefire in the last few weeks, Israeli troops violated that all the time. And there was a kind of observation and interference from our brothers in Qatar and in Egypt that makes the situation to be handled for a few days. No one can trust the Israelis, no one can trust their any kind of arrangements with them. So there must be someone who can control or at least talk directly to the Israelis, making the needed pressure so they can implement the complete or any arrangements completely.
And who would Hamas trust to be that party?
Well, it's clear that we can't trust the Americans because they are partners in the massacre committed in Gaza. But for sure, we are trusting our brothers in Qatar and Egypt, and they can mediate that, and they can also observe that.
All right, that is senior Hamas representative Osama Hamdan joining us on the phone from Beirut. Thank you very much for your time.